Hey there, Pod Pals. Do you feel like you could use a little bit of help with your podcast launch, growth, or with converting your podcast listeners into becoming your best clients? I want you to head on over to my website, www.podcastingbusiness.school, and watch the 4-minute video that talks about who I help and exactly how I can help them out. Next, I want you to click on the Discovery Call button to set up a free podcast profit potential discovery call where we can talk about working together to help you reach your podcasting and online business goals. Head on over to my website, www.podcastingbusiness.school, and get signed up for your free podcast profit potential discovery call. What's up, Pod Pals? It's your buddy Adam, and you are listening to Podcasting Business School. It's the show where I teach podcasters how to love their podcast like a hobby and build it like a business. We've got a podcast audit going on here with my pod pal, Carrie, from the Self-Care for Moms podcast. Moms out there, listen up. We've got some self-care strategies coming your way from Carrie. We're going to support her show, and I'm going to see if we can optimize some strategies for growth and business optimization. So, Carrie, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
All right. I'm excited and ready to get going. Let's set a goal first. So let's say you and I are reuniting 6 months down the road. I've given you some brilliant strategies today. You implement them and things are going really, really well over the next 6 months. What might that look like for you?
For me, it would look like I want to grow my audience and to not just grow it, but to have it be an engaged audience where I can use the podcast as a platform for, talking about things I have coming up so people know where to go. I'm trying to make it kind of a one-stop shop situation, right? So I'm on Instagram, I have a website, but I'm really trying to make the podcast the place to go.
Yeah. And I love this. And some new verbiage that I'm going to be talking about a lot is having a podcast first marketing strategy. Like, I think so many people, myself including, like when I first got going, I'm like, wow, what if I could just have a show where I just say, like, just teach, just educate, and magically my ideal potential clients just gravitate towards my content and they buy things from me. What if? And now, like, I'm living that existence and it's super cool. So I call that a podcast first marketing strategy. So now you have programs and services that you offer your potential listeners in the niche.
Yes. I have one-to-one coaching. I also do free webinars for different topics. I'm having one coming up about overwhelm. I don't know if it will be over by the time this comes out, but I do have one coming up about overwhelm. So that is what I'm doing now. So it's the topics on the podcast, the free webinars, the one-to-one coaching.
Great. Okay. And then you've been tweaking the name and the verbiage and like title extensions. People, now that I'm preaching this, this podcast optimization with your title. And I've been talking about that a lot on the show lately. So we're finding more people popping on like yourself for podcast lots. So, like, I've been messing with the title a bunch. So give us kind of an update of the evolution of the title and where it's at right now with the full title extension.
Yep. So it used to be self-care from the inside out, but people didn't really understand what that meant. So I've changed it to self-care for moms, stop overwhelm and burnout and reclaim your life. So if you search self-care for moms in Spotify or Apple or any podcast platform, that will come up. I'd like it to be first, but it's at least within the top 10, sometimes the top 5.
That's great. I mean, if you can make that first screen on that search, depending on how big somebody's phone is, like, you got a shot. So then I think just with the art, I don't have your art pulled up right now. Did you add anything with the title extension verbiage on the actual art itself, like a shadow box or anything like that? Okay.
Well, the whole thing. So it's self-care for moms, and then underneath it, stop overwhelm and burnout and reclaim your life. So I have the whole thing on there, and it's pretty big. I'm looking at it right now, and even in the smallest one, you can read the smaller letters. So it's bright yellow, so it's hard to miss.
All right. Yeah. Excellent. And just for everybody listening in, another kind of ninja move you can do with your podcast art, search your keyword that's in the title of your show, like self-care, like what Carrie's talking about, and look at the other images that show up and just notice, like, are there a lot of similar looking show art, happening out there. They all white backgrounds or dark backgrounds, and just put something different. Like the bright yellow, I guarantee there's not a whole bunch of bright yellow, background or art that's existing out there in that space. And like this really works. I actually did this with my health podcast back in 2015 through 19, where I started getting ranked in the top 200, and I started seeing all these shows that were like just flashy, just bright colors everywhere. And I just put a simple white background with black, thick font, and my show really stood out on the search bar and in the rankings. And I think it helped. So something to consider.
Yeah. Yeah. It definitely stands out when I scroll through. I see it, I mean, I see it
Good.
anyway, but you really see it.
Good. Well,
Yeah.
I love that you have self-care in there. You got 3 or more really good keywords that are searchable that you want to be showing up for. So I like it. I think that organic discoverability is going to be working its magic for you now, especially with the title extension. Did you take care of some of those words in the host description and episode titles, things like that?
Yeah, I've been playing around with that too, and I don't think it's exactly, I have to keep going back to it, but I think it's pretty good. It has a lot of the keywords in it. Um uh I struggle with not putting in too many coachy words, right? So that's where my hang up is. So I have to keep going back, because what sounds good to me and what I think makes sense, and then I go back to it in a couple of days and I think, it's a little coachy. I need to,
Yeah.
change that up a little bit. So
Yeah. And
I'm almost there.
I think we all do that too. Like I think it's just a nice exercise. Like with me, I'll review all my keywords and like my host description every 90 days. At the end of each quarter, I just kind of go, all right, let's take a fresh look at this. Let's just see what's popping up. And I kind of keep a keyword idea bank along with my podcast episode idea bank. It's all right there in my trusty Evernote file. And like anytime you hear from a listener, they email you, they DM you, you kind of have your back and forth. Always just kind of ask them like, what were you looking for? Do you remember what you're looking for when you found my show? Or what topics, like what are your pain points? Like what verbiage would you use to describe yourself? And you start taking those words and be like, okay, these are ideas for hashtags. These are ideas for keywords in our show. These are episode topics, episode titles. And I just kind of will review my keyword, my idea bank, review my host description and go, okay, do I need to add anything? Do I need to subtract anything? Do I need to change my verbiage? And then I kind of just put it away for 90 days because I could get in there and tweak it every freaking day. Like I can over tweak all this stuff, over optimize. Over Optimizers Anonymous. That's me. Hello, my name is Adam. So I think for me, a 90-day break just to kind of get my eyes off of it and then come back to it with fresh eyes, that really works well. So is that helpful?
Yeah. Yeah, that's super helpful. And I agree. I do the same thing. I could tweak something forever, which is why I put it down and I come back to it, because you do see it with fresh eyes when you leave and come back, rather than just trying to keep doing it over and over and over in the same time frame.
Yeah. And I think that tendency is kind of born out of like, you just want this thing to work. Like you just want this, and I feel for you too, because you're in a space where you're able to make a really palpable impact for these moms. Like, the difference you can make for them. And I was same way back when I started my weight loss show. I was like, I've lost over 100 freaking pounds. I've helped so many people lose thousands of pounds. I just need the right people to plug in and I will change their life. I know that it can kind of be annoying at first when you're like, man, I'm getting 4 people listening to these episodes. I'm putting so much work into it. So I just want you to know that I understand exactly where you are. But the good news is people like ourselves that have impactful content, we eventually, like, the right people start finding us, and you're doing all the right things to optimize and stack the deck in your favor so the right people can find you. So just kind of take heart in that and go, okay, I'm doing the right things. And now we just have to keep doing the right things, because going viral as a podcaster isn't a thing. Like, it's not TikTok.
Yeah.
So it's not like we have one giant guest and all of a sudden all the people now become our followers. Like, we all kind of think that or hope that doesn't happen. We don't have this magical episode where there's a keyword in it and everybody finds it and they all start listening. That doesn't really happen. It takes a lot of work, but the people that are in it like you for the right reasons, you're going to build a really solid foundation. It's going to happen for you. All right.
All right. I believe you.
Good. And honestly, I've got enough energy to go around. So just keep plugging in to what I got, absorb that energy, use it and borrow it until you build up your own podcast momentum there. So, all right. So I feel good about the organic discoverability bucket. The other couple buckets we got to look at are like the effort-based marketing and the paid marketing strategies. So like effort-based marketing, I assume you probably heard me talk about like my 72-hour marketing promo window. Like new episode goes out. How are we letting people know about it right now? What's our strategy there?
Yeah, I am a little inconsistent about that. What I do, and just I need to do it every time, and I need to do it within the same time frame. But what I do is I take snippets from the I use StreamYard too. So I take snippets from the podcast, and then I'll upload those on Instagram and, let people know, click here. Sometimes I'll boost them, sometimes I won't, depending on what it is. And then I kind of build a week long sort of strategy around whatever the topic is. So I'll pull out quotes and I'll post quotes. I'll, take a video of me talking about the topic, or I'll take a video of me and put the words of, something that was in the podcast in that. So that is my goal to do consistently in the same time frame. But that's kind of what I do.
Okay.
And I'm also on Overcast. So I took that tip from you too. So I have that, and I have seen more subscribers. So that does work. So yeah.
Good. And I can tell you Overcast has something good going on right now. And I think like with Google Podcasts kind of dropping off the radar, I think the remaining listeners have migrated to other platforms because Overcast all of a sudden grew. And I'm seeing the numbers and the cost per new subscriber acquisition. It's really gotten great. Like people are setting all-time best campaigns with paid ads on Overcast FM. So great time to be using those kind of ads and spending a little bit of money on that. I like what you're doing with the effort-based marketing, with the different assets you're kicking out there. I've got two strategies that I want to just kind of slide across the table. These are experiments that I've been doing. I've never talked about them on the show before, so you're going to hear it first. But I'm really hot on these two ideas. One is the Threads app. Are you on Threads? Have you done anything on there at all?
I am on Threads. It's new for me, so I don't have as many followers in Threads as I do in Instagram, and I'm not getting as much engagement over there, but I do try to dual post.
Okay. Here's my trick with Threads.
Okay.
It's not about what you post. It's you responding to other people's posts via specific hashtags. So I want you searching the hashtag self-care, burnout, moms, and just keep like what I do is like I'm drinking my coffee in the morning for 10 or 15 minutes. I'll just go on. I search like podcasting, podcast threads. Like I'm sure there's one called like mom threads or something like that. And I just join conversations for like 10 or 15 minutes. I just drop knowledge, just support, cheer people on. People are like, just launched my first podcast episode today. And I'll just be like, headphones, fire emoji, great job, trophy emoji. And then I'm just dropping little attaboys and attagirls and going, hey, great job. But there are certain ones where I'm answering questions, or I'll go, hey, I've got a full podcast episode all about this. I think you're on the right track. Let me drop the link and you can check it out. And they're always like, awesome, you got a new subscriber. So like 10 to 15 minutes of just talking on other people's stuff. Then they start following you. And I'm telling you, like, this is the golden strategy for me right now. I'm getting people that are hiring me from like, they're coming into my world, hiring me, joining Download Growth Club, or hiring me for coaching consulting. Like this is really working. And Threads, like, don't overthink. I don't copy my posts over on Threads. Like if I have a new episode, and like, let's say it's about download growth, and I'll drop, my normal marketing strategies everywhere else, but on Threads, I just post text. Like you don't have to do any videos, any images, anything. And I'll put up a poll, be like, what's your number one podcast growth strategy right now? And I'll just list a poll of like this, and this. And people just start engaging with it and voting on it and things like that. So definitely put some text posts up there. You can do like a stream of consciousness. Those work really well. Just like, I make fun of people that send me spammy marketing PR agency emails or whatever. And so I'll post about that or whatever. But the real golden ticket is go on and search specific hashtags, and you'll just be like, that's my ideal customer. That's my ideal customer. That's my ideal listener.
Okay.
And just cheer them on, add 10 to 15 minutes while you're drinking your coffee or walking on the treadmill or something like that. I'm telling you, this is a really, really good strategy. So, and also look at my bio on Threads, because I've got that kind of optimized. So it says what I do. And then you can pin one post. And this is another pro tip, but it is an experiment, but it seems to be working, is I pinned a post where I'm talking about my top lead magnet, my podcast growth scorecard. It has the link to my lead magnet. So they kind of see me commenting on other places. They navigate to my profile. They see what I do. They see the first post. They're jumping on my email list. They're becoming customers. So that's kind of the funnel right now. So that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes total sense. And I have noticed a shift in how people are posting on Threads. And so that makes a lot of sense. I've also been trying to be more social on social media.
Yeah.
Uh, so, because you kind of get sucked into all the marketing things and you forget about the social part. So I have been really, kind of working on that as well.
Yeah. So, man, yes. And Threads, Threads is kind of the platform. I actually just posted a thread before we hopped on, that like Threads is like the platform for people that are burned out on social media. Like it's the social media platform for people that are burned out on social media. You can just do text, and I could spend 45 minutes putting an Instagram reel together with captions that pop up when the music hits certain notes and all this stuff. Or I can just post text on Threads or comment on other people's stuff, and it's like converting into listeners and clients. So that's a thing. Now, another strategy to consider is, since you're using StreamYard, since you're a service provider, you're an educator like I am, I go on there on StreamYard and I film these 60-second or less face-to-camera tip videos. It's like brand awareness. It's not driving towards any specific episode at all. I basically made a list of like 100 and something tips that I had. And I was like, all right, I'm just going to do a 60-second video on as many of these as I can. So I sit down one day a week and I just record 60-second videos of me dropping knowledge on something real quick. And I post those on, I try to post them kind of everywhere, but they're really doing well on TikTok and on YouTube Shorts. I'm seeing really nice engagement and growth over there, which is pretty cool. Like I've never had a TikTok presence or a YouTube, much at all, other than just going live, doing my live streams. So that's been really, really nice. And it's super easy because I just go, all right, I'm going to talk about this 60 seconds or less. And once you do 4 or 5 of them in a row, you kind of get in your rhythm. And at the end, as I see the clock going to like 50-ish seconds, I'll be like, for more podcasting tips like this, tune into Podcasting Business School, wherever you enjoy your podcast audio. That's how I always end it, as a general, hey, go listen to the show. Here's what it's called, go get it, sort of thing. So again, you can kind of look, if you follow me on social media, you'll be able to see me posting these, and you can kind of use that as a template. But StreamYard makes it super easy, and you can get it. And what I do is I make an Instagram reel first. That allows you to have that little crop feature, because in StreamYard, it comes out as a rectangle. Yeah. And then you can crop it. So it's like, boom, it's the right size and everything fits. I add captions on Instagram reels, save it before I put any music to it. And then I use it everywhere else. And I just have and the caption wise, the copy, it's always just like, if you want, it's kind of like what I say at the end. For more podcasting tips like this, check out Podcasting Business School, wherever you enjoy your audio. I don't worry about a big, long chunk of copy, and I use a few hashtags if that's what you do on whatever platform. But I'm using those on LinkedIn, YouTube Shorts, TikTok, Facebook Reels, Instagram Reels, the whole thing. So they're easy to do, and like just brand awareness, just dropping tips. And it's not like over spammy or markety. It's just like, hey, here's some knowledge. And people are like, I really like your quick tip stuff you've been doing. This is cool. And it's all stuff they can apply. So like you could do a whole series on just like stressed out moms, like, stress relief tips for moms. And like, my God, like, you think that's going to go over well? Oh yeah. Like it's really going to go over well. So another thing to consider as far as just kind of getting really specific with your social media marketing strategy, especially. So, any questions on that strategy itself?
No, the only question I have is, do you recommend doing that as a live, or you recommend as a recording and doing it the other way?
I just record them. So
Okay.
I do not live stream those. I just like
Okay.
StreamYard because it has the branding, the background, and
Right.
it's just like super easy and functional. And I know how to use it. So I'll literally just sit down, put the title in there, and go, okay, this tip is about Overcast FM. Boom. Let's knock out 50 seconds plus my outro, my little ending verbiage. And then the next one, I'll record that, save it. The next one is podcast art strategies. Okay, and just one. It's not strategies, it's one strategy. And then the next one is something about lead magnets. The next one's about, funnel building or something. So it's just boom, boom, boom. I'll knock out 5 of them. That way I'm good. I only post them Monday through Friday. Weekends have not been real great for me on like YouTube or TikTok. So I'm like, not going to mess with that, but I just either get them scheduled or post them Monday through Friday. And I kind of made a challenge for August. I was like, I'm going to do this every Monday through Friday on August and just kind of see what happens. And so far, so good. And
Okay.
maybe next month I may pare it back to like 3 days a week or whatever. But especially on TikTok and YouTube Shorts, though, those videos are continuing to get more and more reach. And I'm starting to see people pop over and, they listen to my show. They reach out. Hey, how'd you find me? Oh, I saw your TikTok video. I'm like, well, that's never been said before. So
Yeah.
that's awesome. So yeah, I
Yeah,
think
that's good.
something to consider, but definitely Threads easy. That's a 10-minute coffee time, stirring up conversations. The other strategy, it could take, 10, 15 minutes per week to record those videos, and you kind of have to spray them out there, but it's great for brand awareness. Make sense?
Okay. Yep. I like it.
So yeah, I mean, those are the 3 major buckets. I would continue to look on Overcast FM. I am doing some experiments on some new platforms that I'm liking so far that I'll be promoting on the show a little bit, and definitely inside the Download Growth Club. So kind of keep your ear to the ground on that. But I think you're doing all the right stuff. I think now it's just like time in the game sort of a
Time.
thing, and just keep, with expert positioning. Are you doing solo episodes, any coaching style episodes, things like that?
No coaching style episodes. I do have a co-host, so we talk back and forth, which I think people like. I've done a
Yeah.
couple solo episodes based on our schedules, and they haven't done quite as well. So I think people like the conversation.
Yeah.
So that's what we're doing for now. We have had some guests, but that's not really the focus. The focus is more us talking about a topic because we both have different experiences as being a mom, and so we kind of bring that
Right.
into the topic and talk about it. And
Yeah.
it's the idea is to have tips and strategies, but also keep it real. We're
Yeah.
both moms, and we both know the ins and outs of all of that, and we're pretty honest about some of our challenges and struggles with being a mom.
So one idea just for kind of making your audience a part of the show that I think could really go well in your niche, because you're in a space where coaching episodes may be difficult to pull off because moms may not want to come on a show and kind of vent and air all the dirty laundry of why they're stressed out or all the problems and things that are like, sometimes people aren't super up for that, but you could use like a speak pipe link, like what I do, and just gather audience audio and have like a listener question of the week or something like that. A mom question of the week. Let's check the mom stressed out hotline, the stressed out mom hotline. What are you stressed out about this week? Like you kind of make it fun or funny if that's like your brand. Kind of have a kind of a tongue in cheek funny name, but grab audio where it's like, hey, this is Jane and I'm dealing with this, or I'm really trying to improve, my morning or my pre-bedtime self-care routine, or, what strategies you have. They can fire away with questions and you can just sit there and you and your co-host kind of have some banter back and forth. But I like the idea of your listeners' voices being represented and heard on the show.
hmm
Because with your type of show, you really want to get that community vibe going. That's going to build expert positioning. That's going to make people go like, oh, this is kind of like the outer circle of the community. What does the inner circle of the community look like? And that's when they hire you to help them out. So something to consider. Any thoughts on
Okay.
that idea?
I like it. I've never done anything like that before, but I'm up for it. I'll do it.
Yeah. I mean, that's something you could, I use SpeakPipe. That's just speakpipe.com. It's a free app and it's recording software, and they can record it to the cloud. They can re-record it if they don't like the way it sounded, and it just sends to you, and you get the MP3 file. You can just take it, toss it right into your show, and throw it on there live and answer it. So you could, get 4 or 5 of those in advance and kind of go, okay, we're going to, do these in the next month of episodes or something like that. And once people start hearing that that's a thing, and you put the SpeakPipe link in the show notes or whatever, they'll just start going after it and say, hey, I got a question, or I've got feedback off this episode or whatever. And if your show is really a big part of the show is that banter between you and your co-host, it just kind of, like I said, it lets your listener's voice be represented and heard. So I think it'll work. I think it'll work, Gary.
It'll work. I believe you. So far, everything you've told me has worked well, so I'm going to do it.
All right, cool. Well, I feel like we've got good things in place here. And like I said, the more time you spend just being consistent with all the right things, I would not be shocked if, we did have that 6-month follow-up and you're like, wow, the downloads have doubled or tripled since we talked on the podcast audit, and, good things are happening where the client acquisition is really ramping up. Those things are going to start popping for you here in the next 6 months. I'm very confident in that.
All right.
Cool. All right. Let's shout you out. If people want to connect with you, support your show, where's the best place to go and get that connection going?
Yep. So at Moms Love Coaching on Instagram is probably the best place to go. I have a link on my bio, and it takes you to everything I do. So it has all the freebies in there. It has you link to the podcast, link to my website. So Moms Love Coaching.
Moms Love Coaching. All right. Pod Pals, hopefully you enjoyed this episode. Make sure you go and support Carrie and her show. And if you want to do a podcast audit just like Carrie, go on over to the website, www.podcastingbusiness.school. Click on the freebie button, and you'll see the podcast audit link right there. Hop on the calendar. We'll get you on the show. All right, Carrie, appreciate you. I'm excited to see what happens next. And for everybody listening in, we'll send you out into the world wishing you health, happiness, and many downloads. We will see you next time. If you need a little bit of help with your podcast launch, growth, or monetization strategy, head on over to my website, www.podcastingbusiness.school, and get signed up for a free podcast profit potential discovery call. During this free 20-minute discovery call session, I'm going to analyze your podcasting brand and tell you where I think you're missing on an opportunity for profits. Next, I'm going to tell you exactly what I suggest that you do as your next step. If I've got an offer that would help you accelerate the process, we can discuss working together as well. So head on over to my website, www.podcastingbusiness.school, and click on the Discovery Call button to schedule your free Podcast Profit Potential Discovery Call.